This fender is as bare as the day it was stamped. And I spent just about an hour stripping all this paint off this fender. Well, if you remember, we had Bondo paint, we had everything on here. And finally got it all off, stripped it down to bare metal, and we have a really nice fender under this. Don't know why they skim coated the whole thing. Wasn't necessary. I guess there was a sale on Bondo. Anyway, as you can see, this fender's got a little problem back here. And their fix was to take and slap a panel over top. The problem started out between the structure that's in behind here and the actual skin. Moisture, leaves, garbage got in there, and it just started rotting all that out. So they slapped a patch on it. You can see it right here, the edge of the Bondo, right here, just inside the blue line. And, well, problem solved for a little while. And it just came through the second patch. If you don't fix the problem right the first time, it's all going to keep coming out. And we can keep layering sheet metal on top of this and, kind of, hey, I have an idea. We can actually form up a panel and just cover all this up and leave a kind of an air cavity in here, kind of an air scoop. Might look trick. I don't think so. What we're going to do is take and cut this out right here along the blue line, peel this out, and see what's left. Hopefully the structure is good. It looks good from one side, but you can never tell until you open this up. So I'm going to get the zip blade out, chop this out, and see what we have to work with. Now before I start cutting on this, I forgot to tell you guys something. I'm Nick, and welcome to Envision Prototypes. I'm going to cut about 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch away from this welded joint, because more than likely, well, they did grind the weld down, and they've probably thinned that metal out to the point that if we go to weld onto it, it's going to be pretty thin through there. So just step over here and just This is not pretty. We got a little more holes in this patch on here. Okay. Let's see what we have inside. Let's open this up like a book. All these pages, eh? So that's the original fender from 1962. That's 1996 when they did the restoration. And well, it didn't last very long. You can see the holes there. And the structure doesn't look too bad. So the garbage got in from the top there, from the side, and just took all this out. And it just sat there. You can see all the stuff in there. So what we're going to do is cut this out, clean all that, fix all this, and make up a fresh patch, get it installed. I'm going to take the saw or the zip blade and just take out this old original fender across the bottom here, just peel the rest of this out so we can get a good look at the structure. It's kind of all attached and welded together at the moment, but we'll take care of that. I don't want to go too deep and cut the structure. I just want to take out this part here. There we go. A little bit of weight there. I think the car will sit a little bit higher after we're done with this. There you go. We got a couple little holes. We have to take and cut that out. This is 16 gauge, so it's really, really thick. A lot of times it's really, it's a quick and dirty way of getting the patch installed. Just put it in over top and nobody sees what's behind that. But eventually it will come out. So you can see how ugly that is right there. That's 1962. What I'm going to do right now is take and clean all this up, treat it, form up a patch panel. It's not very complicated, just has a bit of a wave here. Now, I've kept this end flange. It'll be taken off later, but I need to keep this profile shape so I can take and fabricate the panel properly. If I got rid of that, well, I would lose this contour, which matches the contour of the door. Same thing down here. If I took this out, this would be waving in the wind, and we'd lose our alignment with respect to these mounting bolts and this mounting bolt here on the car. So it's always best to take and go at this nice and slow. Don't cut away everything at one time. Just ease into it. And well, that's what we're doing. We're easing. I'm gonna bring you guys in once I have a patch fabricated. All right, well, you got some nice crisscross action going on there. All the scratch lines from the 80 grit are consistent throughout the panel. Went through, found any highs, lows, adjusted them a little bit. So we are really close with this panel. I think that's where we're gonna leave it. We didn't overlap material and sandwich stuff. The interior structure, we touched up a couple little holes there, threw some primer on there, threw some primer on the back of this panel before we sealed that area up, because you can't really get in there from the other side with a spray gun. So that's all wrapped up. Now there are some grinding marks that whoever repaired this panel previously used a grinder to make sure that the Bondo really stuck it to the panel. Can't really get rid of that. I don't want to take and grind the material too thin. Everything is nice and solid. We're dealing with basically 18 gauge here, so there's lots of meat. I put my joint over here. The structure ends at this point. That allowed me to get my dolly in and metal finish this joint properly. If the patch was smaller, then I'd probably have to use a spoon or something and slide it in between the structure and the panel. Makes it a little more difficult. So try to find a location for your joint where you can get it out easier, even if that means making a slightly larger panel, because in the end, it looks a lot better. We could have ended up with a V in this area here, you know, because you can't finish it properly. And you really want to minimize the amount of filler you put into this. At this point, you might need just a slight skim coat of filler or some high build. And I think we are going to go with the high build at this point because we are that close with this panel. I hope you found this episode useful in terms of what not to do and how not to sandwich material, because it'll always come back to haunt you later on, as this patch haunted the Cadillac. And one thing, see this little diagonal here? I cut that off because my grinder doesn't go around corners this tight. So I cut it off on an angle, went in there with the snips, radiused it, and it's a lot easier to finish a radius joint than it is a point or a diagonal like that. So anyway, worked out quite nice. See you guys next time. Take care.